We're live.
Good morning, everybody. November 18, cannot believe it. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We shall persevere until we succeed, Mandina. So today we've got a little different presentation, and Dan and I have kind of looked at many things during the past year and a half, or 4 years anyway, and it's all to do with mindset, because life is about mindset. And we came across a person who absolutely surprised and inspired, at least me, but also I hope she will do the same for everybody else. So there's a lady, 31 years old, called Merle Livand. She's from a place called Estonia. And she's 4 times Guinness Book of Records that she's achieved that. 4 times. So, okay, that, to get into the Book of Records once, but 4 times. And where she comes from, she came from Estonia. They had absolutely nothing. She was dirt poor. She had, they had snow there for 6 months of the year, and the rest of the time was, to quote her, cabbage, and soap, cabbage and soap. So anyway, we're going to show you a little video about her, and you can then see from there, and then we're going to just pick a few things that are salient about what she's doing and what she says and so on. So I'm going to do a little video on that, if it's okay.
Did you happen to download? Hold on a second, Lawrence. I've got it. Give me 1 second here. A little bit behind the 8 ball. Let me share.
That's good, because my heart would be palpitating like crazy if it was me, that I'm technologically slow. So I'll just fill. Oh, here she comes. Okay, watch this. It's really cool stuff.
Every person who has brain working and heart pumping.
First one, Dan. Dan, go to the first one.
This is okay. Go ahead and keep talking. I'm gonna have to pull that one over.
Yeah. Okay. So, so basically, there's this young lady, and she now is all over the world. She's they pay her to go everywhere around the world. We were very lucky to be able to just have a little interview with her, and we were hoping she was going to be on the call today. She said she had a conflict with CNN, and I don't know what, she was being interviewed on the morning shows again, as usual. But so she was going to be on if she could, and she may even just pop on. So we had this chat, and she inspired me, and I'm inspired always by people that do things that I think are part of what we talk about every day. It's about walking your talk. And this is where I'll get this. Okay, you got that. Here we go. You got her? Okay. It's about walking the talk. So we're just about there, I think. She's now an American citizen, but she came from nothing. And for example, it's about accepting where you are, or, have a dream and come out of it, do something about it, and look for the opportunity and grab it. Okay, here we go.
Sorry for the delay, everybody. Here we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell me your name?
My name is Merle Livand.
What do you do?
I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur, but also my biggest passion in the world is to save oceans. And I have been really lucky in my life to change some laws in the world. So I also have Ocean Ambassador title. But I think what people mostly know about me is that I have 4 Guinness World Records as a mermaid. I am kind of eco mermaid who tries to raise awareness that there's too many plastic and and fishing nets, and the animals are getting stuck on them, and they can't really swim freely and be happy animals. So I'm trying to bring awareness for those topics in the world, and also educate people along the way. And mostly my passion is to kids, because I think kids are our next future. And through my lifetime, I have been swimming coach for 11 years. So I have been teaching all the kids to swim, and as well educating them about oceans.
So you said you had some world records for what?
I have 4 Guinness World Records. My latest is 26.2 miles, but it's 42.2 kilometers to swim like a mermaid with my mermaid tail and no arms in ocean. So in an open field where I had to face sharks, electrical stingrays, and jellyfishes. And it took me 11 hours and 54 minutes, and I got it done.
Amazing. What prompted you to do that?
Number one, I'm 31 years old. I saw 2 years ago how we had to put ventilator tubes inside the ocean to start producing oxygen. And that was a wake-up call, because I saw fishes literally swim in front of me and gasping air and dying. And if fishes are facing that, if ocean is losing not just seagrass and reefs, but they also losing oxygen, I believe that's what's going to happen with us. So in a world of being multi-passionate entrepreneur, I decided that how are we going to, really build the success if we're losing oxygen? And instead of, crying about it, I decided to take action. So I got involved with Guinness World Record and brought the world attention. I was a second worldwide news in CNN, and I made it to the World Economic Forum with all this information.
So how disciplined are you?
My publicist calls me Estonian military discipline, because, every day we have brain working and heart pumping. So that means every day we can make a difference. We can start the day really badly and things are going totally south and bad and down the drain, but we have a chance until we're breathing and until our brains are working. We have a chance every day to change the world. Yes, we have to have a sustainable long-term goals in business, in success, in family, in love, but every day we can actually grow and make a difference. So I think that also means that you have to wake up in the morning and be fine if you have to swim against the current, because you always will swim out from the current, and you always come out from the difficult road with the better growth and solutions. So don't be afraid to face the obstacles.
Wow. So how many hours a day or a week, or how many hours do you train?
I train 4 times per day. In between trainings, I run 6 companies and startups.
Wow. So you're a slow mover. So you're an underachiever.
You know what? We have one life.
Okay.
And instead of seeing if something bothers you, instead of sitting on a corner or eating croissant and shake hands, you can be the change. You just have to go out there and do the work. And I'm not here to say that just the hard work makes you successful. It's also the balance of enjoying clean ocean after a hard work. And you also have to appreciate those little moments in a life. So to achieve that, that means you have to do a lot of things during the day, but you have to also look back and feel like how many experiences I felt during the day.
So if you had one message that you could give to everybody that they can do their part, what would that be?
You don't know how, but you have to have a will to try, because there is never a perfect answer that things gonna work out. but things might work out better than you even thought so. You just have to go out there and get it done or try. And, you know, trying is already 50% of work. So don't be afraid to face things what are uncomfortable, because you might become a
Should I start the second one, Lawrence?
No, that it still got more. I think there were
That
two.
was it. That was it.
No.
That was 6 minutes and 3 seconds. That's all you sent me.
Oh, well, then half of it dropped off. Because the other part had it was thing about, you know, absolutely not giving up and so on. Okay, we'll put the second one on anyway, and we'll go through it.
next time.
So no more excuses.
No more excuses. No more excuses. Because you actually can restart, relive, rebuild everything until you have heart pumping and brain working. It doesn't even matter if you lose a leg or an arm. Everybody can push it through.
And you're from an ex-Soviet Union country.
Estonia. So we grew up having nothing. 6 months we had only snow. So the whole summer we had to work double, because that was the only way to get food, because on a store you only had soap, cabbage, soap. So you can build anything in this world. Just don't find excuses, please.
God bless you. Thank you.
So I just would like to add, when on the first part where she's talking about how she was reaching her record, she was saying she had to all things like being stung by jellyfish, and there were stingrays and sharks and currents, and it's not just swimming in a pool. This is in the ocean. And the things that go against you in the ocean, for example, that you can't even see, but they're there. Those are the curveballs that we have in our businesses. We have things in our businesses that might give us problems, like supply chains and product doesn't arrive, or it's damaged, or devaluation of currency in other places and so on. So we all have our curveballs. And the point about this girl was that, in my opinion, was that she decided to put something in her mind. She had some very clear a goal of what she wanted to be. She had a dream for better opportunities. But you got to have the courage to try, getting rid of the fears. We all have fears. We talk about fear. We'll talk about fear. I mean, here's this girl. I'd like, Dan, I don't know. Give me you start first, and then I've got lots to say about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all heard the term first world problems. That exists for a reason, because it's ridiculous. Most of those first world problems that we have, the rest of the world doesn't have them, yet they're still able to persevere. They're still able to grow. They're still able to succeed. So, I think, if you look at the new generation coming up, we're becoming softer and softer as the generations go on, because we come up with more and more first world problems, right? First world problems are just excuses for why you can't do something. There's a lot of things that push against you, talking about Merle, she's pushing against the current. Anytime you go against the current, it's obviously going to be more difficult to achieve your goal. But, we have to stop looking at the little things that we complain about, because in this country, we really don't have that much to complain about. A lot of it's just in our mind. We're creating excuses. We're creating complaints so that we don't reach our goals, so that we don't succeed. This is the land of opportunity for a reason, right? We all have the same opportunity. It's a lot of it's in our mind. We're able to persevere. We're able to, well, I don't want to say we all have the same opportunity. Most of us have the same opportunity. There are people that don't have the same opportunity, but there's case after case after case of people that didn't have the same opportunities that we do, that still were able to succeed. So we need to stop looking at those things, those first world problems that are holding us back, and start to adopt that one more mentality. This month, we're doing a book club on our team, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. And, you know, one of those things is one more try, right? And the one more try is going to be what sets you apart from everybody else. When you do the same things as everybody else, you're going to get the same results as everybody else. You know, so you want to create that one more skill, that one more try, that one more effort that's going to put you head and shoulders above everybody else. And Merle had to do that to get 4 world records, right? She didn't start off swimming 26.2 miles without her arms. She worked up to it. She probably did a mile, and she probably did 2 miles. She said, I'm just going to do 1 more mile, right? To get to that level. And so we really need to start adopting that one more attitude in everything that we do. And it all begins with habits. You know, it's breaking bad habits that we've created and getting rid of the bad habits from our lives and incorporating more positive habits into our lives and making sure that they become habit over time. So, Lawrence?
And having the why, that impulse that propels you. Why are you doing this? Because I have a vision. I have something I want to achieve. And in fact, at the end, we can actually post the whole thing on the Facebook. At the end, she says, success is when you've got a legacy that you can leave. It's not just, achieving something. It's achieving something that's going to be, it's a legacy for you. So, and it's the why you're doing this, the passion, the dream of something that you can really do, something that you can excel with, that you can help other people doing. That's what the whole point was. She was trying to help the ocean. She's trying to help the fish. She's trying to help educate people. She's got like a mission in her mind. And she's in this zone of educating people, of leading by example, of saying, well, this is what is possible. And I'm just trying to draw attention to the fish and to the nets and to the pollution of the oceans and to an education, or to educate the people about just what we have, the importance of the oceans and the water and the oxygen and so on. And so it's about making a difference, every day in our lives. And that's what she was talking about. I mean, she trains 4 times a day. And think about it. She came from a country that didn't even speak the same language, completely different culture. She had absolutely nothing. And now she's in the forefront of the world news in many countries. That's what she spends her life doing now, being interviewed on TV in many countries, because she's got this passion, this drive. And I think if we find the passion in whatever we do in our lives, if we find something that that motivates us to go one more, to be a little bit better every day. Scott was talking about 1% better just at 1%. Well, we could do that. We can do 1%. We could do 1% per hour or 1% per day or whatever, but a little bit more, one more. But the passion that drives us, that we strive to do something more, something better, just something better every day.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think we all kind of, we start thinking about our mortality and, what's going to be, how are people going to remember us when we're no longer here? A lot of times we think about, our legacy should be money to our, family and later generations, but really the one thing that sticks around is change, right? So what we're trying to do in our business is we're trying to empower people to live a healthier lifestyle, protect themselves from chronic disease. And that can be each of our legacy, that we're trying to change the way that people are looking at health and wellness and incorporating supplementation into their daily activities, to their habit and eating healthier and all of those things. That's going to be a lot of our legacies, moving forward, is instilling that in our families, instilling that in our friends, instilling that in patients through our physicians, and that's a tremendous advantage in our favor over other people who choose not to live that way, right? We're more than likely going to live a healthier life than those folks who don't care. And so it's, you know, it's about legacy. It's about creating, you know, executing the habits that are going to help you reach your goals, leave a legacy when you're no longer here. And so we need to really think about how we're incorporating these daily habits into our lives so that we can reach those goals. You know, just that fact of having that one more attitude, you know, one more try mentality, that's where you're going to find your greatest successes and your most significant personal growth. When you have that mentality that I'm going to do one more thing, I'm going to make one more call today. I'm going to stop by one more doctor's office. I'm going to have one more conversation with somebody. You know, that's when your greatest growth is going to come. I've seen it over and over and over in my career, and I know some of the others on this call have as well.
Yeah, so part of all that is self-analysis, introspection, evaluation on a daily basis. How did I do today? Would I hire me? Am I good enough for me? Are my standards too high or too low? Never too high, but are they too low? Am I mediocre? Did I produce a mediocre result today? And it's that introspection that we've got to also look at and not be afraid of being ruthless with the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. Who is that? You know, are we performing? Are we underperforming? You know, she, on this video that I will post it for everybody, she actually says she was swimming in the Hudson Bay and the Navy SEALs came along and she became one of the, I'd say instructors, but yeah, for the Navy SEALs. She was actually invited by the Navy SEALs to train Navy SEALs. I mean, she's 31 years old from Estonia to train Navy SEALs. And what was that about? It was about never giving up. It was about the light switch in her mind and the switch in the Navy SEALs when they say they think they can't go anymore. That's just can't do anymore. Oh, I'm done. Then there's a little switch that she says, just switch it. And it's a second from I can't to I can. That's all it is. It's just a switch. So she's envisioned the switch in her mind. So the Navy SEALs are people that she's actually training. I mean, seriously, that for me was incredible. And it's all about the mindset. And I, you know, it's about the mindset. It's about how you think. And we've really, really got to understand that we can make a difference. There's nothing to stop us. We've got cobwebs in our minds. We've got the negative talking in our mind as well. We've just got to get rid of that and get into gear. Like you said, Dan, last week, you know, we should be making our New Year's resolution right now. It shouldn't be January the 1st. That's nonsense. In January the 1st, we should be well in the saddle and galloping into 2023. And now we should actually be, you know, tightening the horse's saddle and getting it ready and putting the bridles on for the big race of 2023. And we need to be on a really, really good horse, which is our own way of doing things and thinking. So it's no more excuses. That was the second part. After we finished talking to her, I thought about the excuses thing. And that's why that second part was about no more excuses. That was just a couple of minutes. The first part was what inspired me to say, well, no more excuses. And it's true. She said it. I agree with that.
Where did she get that wristband from?
Me.
I know. No, but you know what, guys, it's about setting goals. You know, where do you want to be? Where were you this year? Did you meet your goals this year? Where are you going to be at the end of the year? But more importantly, where do you want to be in the beginning of 2023 and the end of 2023? Should absolutely be starting to make those plans now. And if you're not making those plans, if you're not writing them down, they're just ideas. And share them with a team member, share them with your wife, share them with your significant other, share them with your children. We're sitting down in the next week as a family to think about what our goals are for next year, you know, with the kids. What are their goals for next year? What are our goals for next year? Where do you guys want to spend money helping other people next year? You know, what are those philanthropic things that we can do? Where are we going to dedicate our time next year to helping others? Yesterday afternoon, I spent a few hours teaching an inner city group how to grow vegetables, because they have a farm to table program that they do. Every Wednesday they cook a meal and they utilize things that they've grown, or so it's, what are those things that you're going to do next year to not only help yourself grow, but what are you going to do to help others in your community and others in your network do to grow next year?
Yeah. What do you want to achieve? What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Who are you talking to about achieving those goals? And have you written them down? Where are they written down? I think it was Riley said she's got something on the mirror that she writes, that she looks at every morning when she looks in the mirror. And she's got some message for herself there, some inspiration message. Dan writes it on the door there. Sometimes we see, believe or something like that. What is it? You've got to write it down and have it in front of your face. Joe Scalia has his points that he needs to accomplish every day, every week on his computer. So every time he gets on his computer, he's subliminally looking at that. We've got to write these goals down. We've got to follow what we can see, and it registers in our mind. But we've got to start with the end in mind as we say. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve? By when? How? With who? These are things that we need to know right away. Boom, right away.
And don't just write them down. Say them out loud, and say them out loud to yourself multiple times a day. Then it starts to become reality. So we're running on time here. Any questions, comments?
If anybody wants a full recording of that, just let me know, and we'll send it, because it was a full recording and it really is inspiring. There's a whole lot more about the Navy SEALs and stuff.
Yeah, it's an absolute inspiration that she used what she was passionate about, and not only she does it with children, with teaching them how to swim, but she educates the planet by catching that awareness. She's an embodiment of how you can turn your passion into a purpose. And you're right, having it written down and seeing it every day and reminding yourself. Back to that book, Power One More, we have a reticular activating system, and of all things, it's a net, and that net catches those ideas. So as you're driving around and looking around, something pops up. Yesterday I was heading home. My wife had a rough day, and I was like, it'd be nice to, get her flowers. And I turned to my right, I see this bench. Lawrence later, I'd say that. But she's selling flowers. Like, I gotta check if it's a vase or a vase. How do you say it? A vase of flowers or a vase? What is it? It's probably from German for Wasser. I do know that. Wasser means water in German. Anyway, but the point is that you think about something, you bring about it, and when you repeat those goals, as you just mentioned, Dan and Lawrence, you're repeating those goals. It's reminding your reticular activating system to look around and find it and put it into existence. So I went back to the house to grab something real quick. I don't know if you guys see that or not, but no more excuses. No more excuses. That way I can remind Lawrence as we work together. Great call, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. I was going to ask you about that. I saw it dangling on your wrist, Joe. So awesome. I have mine too. If you want yours, reach out to Lawrence. He sells them for $15 a pop.
Wait a minute, I paid 20 for mine.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Any other comments before we wrap it up? All right. Lawrence, there's a comment in there. Please post the complete video on the HCA Facebook page. And I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your day today. Beginning your day, remember, Friday's not the end of the week, it's the beginning of next week. So start putting your plans together for next week, start putting your plans together for 2023. There's tons of tools online to help you do that. Lots of spreadsheets, lots of tutorials, lots of great videos on goal setting. So take some time, do it now. Don't wait till the last minute. I know we're all busy, but taking the time now is going to set you up for success in 2023.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you guys. You guys are
Thanks,
awesome.
gentlemen.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
guys.
Thanks, guys. Very
Great call.
grateful.